everyone. Good morning. My name is Shao. Here's my thesis project, Left to Feel That Wind. How do you understand a lake, a saltwater lake, an inland lake that doesn't have an outlet? The Great Salt Lake is the largest saltwater lake in the United States and the 8th largest terminal lake in the world. People call it bad water. In the winter of 2022, I traveled to the Great Salt Lake in Utah, which had receded to a historically low water level, lose 2/3 of its volume, leaving half its bed exposed in the air. It is facing the most extreme ecological crisis. I walk along the shoreline of the road, behold the mountains, the basalt, the water, which seems at least a mile away. The form created from the water flapped the shore, sweep eastward, caught in the wind. I can see a pinkish hue lining the water and hear the sound of waves melting with the gust. All that remains is wind and dust. Not far away from the Great Salt Lake, the Bonneville Salt Flats stretch out in front of me as I drive along the Interstate Highway I-80. It is an invaluable geological conservation, yet it is more famous from racing speed competition held here every year. Layers of massive salt crystals have accumulated over time, forming a substantial thickness. 90% mineral on the surface where I stand upon is sodium chloride, the table salt, the same substance we humans consume every day. Gazing to the distance, the splendor reflects the sky, blurring the horizon into infinity. As I walk across this expanse, I lose myself in its vastness. Geologically, what today is called the Great Salt Lake is a remnant of Lake Bonneville, a placid, thin lake that filled and dried over 60,000 years. Its recent decline began 13,000 years at the end of Ice Age. And the salt flat, spanning over 100 miles, are the bed of the ancient Lake Bonneville. The grand time-space melts my mind, how the salt and the water meet and separate in the countless moments, crystallize and dissolve, forming unique landscapes that display their ethereal beauty, and how the earth evolves itself in the immeasurable passage of time, in the complicated interactions, in the energetic and turbulent processes. The Great Salt Lake had maintained its balance in the past 2,000 years. However, it has shrunk over the last 5 decades. The Anthropocene mark is evident not only in the strata contains artificial materials like plastic, but also in the new shoreline of the Salient Lake. A famous land artist, Robert Smithson, constructed an artwork spiral jetty on the northern shoreline at the Great Salt Lake half a century ago. Described as mud, salt crystals, rocks, water in all directions. But now the work probably will never be submerged by water again, remains a spiral of basalt, sit on the dust. Since the Industrial Revolution, we have invented precise machines to measure time and divide it into days, hours, minutes, seconds, linking our time consciousness with production and profits. The acceleration of modernization extends to Earth's undulations, where we now are witnessing climate change in our lifetimes, in the new geological era named Anthropocene. All that we have seen and experienced is transforming a lake into a desert. I want to create something that brings the land and the time back to the city, a feeling and emotion about standing on the surface of the earth, a consciousness of our temporality compared to the earth who has its own kinetic process that has been evolved for 4.6 billion years. How to feel that time has been squeezed in acceleration where human dominant and enforced to the nature. I want to create a space that we can relate us to the salt lake, to the expanse of desert, to the geological history, and to the earth. And here's my project, Left to Feel That Wind. Left to Feel That Wind is an installation that explores the perception of time, stretched across both geological and human scales, through the lens of transformation between the Great Salt Lake and the Lake Bonneville. The installation features a reimagining of Lake Bonneville, spanning 8 by 18 feet, fuses topographic and geologic knowledge. It is recreated with its primary material, salt, sand, and water. I make clumps, textures, layered these materials over 2 days to let them meet, change, dissolve, and form through time. The Great Salt Lake, depicted by a computer numerically controlled CNC system, captures its lowest water level in November 2022. It is served as a reminder of a collapse of the salt desert ecosystem. The CNC, in a display of technological precision, meticulously release water drops in a controlled and programmed manner. These drops symbolize the concept of precise machine we humans have constructed and possess in the Great Acceleration. The water permeates into the landscape of salt and sand, gradually evaporating under the gallery's climate, leaving a temporal trace signifies human impact on the environment. And the ephemeral contour, along with its surrounding patterns of cracks, expands an experience from space scale to awareness of time scale on site, resonating with the passage of industrial time and the deep time. People tell me that the exhibition room has a smile of saltiness that is so dry and unforgettable. It is a smile of the Great Salt Lake, a sense of dryness mingled with salt that differentiates from the smile of ocean. The sound of water hits the soundscape is not noticeable at first, but when you hear that regularly, it can be ignored, even leave the room for a while. I like these feedbacks people give me that is so sensory touched, that move me for a long time. I hope this installation could offer a view on the progressive evolution of inert matter and the delicate balance of the Earth, compared to how aggressive the influence humans generate to the Earth. Through a contemplative representation of the new shoreline of the Great Salt Lake, this installation provides a space reflecting on the relationship between living and non-living, the responsibility of being an Earth inhabitant, and how to coexist with all creatures in the Anthropocene era. And last, all my gratitude to my thesis advisor Despina, gave me encouragement all the time. Special thanks to my partner Jay, always accompanying and supporting me. Huge thanks to Phil and Luke, helped me along the fabrication process, and the people helped me during the thesis journey. Thanks to everyone I met at ITP IMA. Thank you.